Evening guys, how you doing? It's Tuesday, although all day I've been thinking it's Wednesday. Tuesday today, this is vlog number 4. And again, I got a little bit confused with myself. I thought it was vlog number 5 the other day, so apologies. And I am a day late, even though you probably didn't know there was a vlog due yesterday. Yesterday was really busy. And yeah, so day late, apologies. So for those of my avid viewers, all, I don't know, 200 of them, not even that many, I don't think. Apologies, but yes, vlog number 4, here we go. So building on from last time, what's happened? Weirdly, summer has landed. We've completely skipped all of spring. Now summer's here. It's been mad. Since, what day are we today? So Tuesday. Since Saturday, it has been amazing. Okay, so like early 20s, sun shining, sea is beautiful. I haven't quite dipped my toes in yet because I think it's probably too cold and I'm a bit of a wuss. But it looks beautiful. Saturday we had stage number 3 of the Challenge Mallorca, the Vuelta Mallorca, the individual stages together. Start in the old town of Pollença, and the riders did a loop down towards Alcudia, through the back end of Alcudia, past Porta Pollença here, back up and straight up the Col de Femina. Col de Femina? You know the one, up to Yuk. Okay, so they went up to Yuk and quite a few of us went up there to watch them come past. And I could not believe, I could not believe how quick they ride up a mountain. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm terrible at mountain climbing and I'm terrible on the bike mountain climbing, regardless. And yeah, it's incredible to see them. They're obviously in a tight peloton, going incredibly fast, and it just doesn't even look like they're missing a beat. So that was really cool to watch. There was a small breakaway, I think it was only 2 or 3 riders, and then the rest of the peloton chasing after them. That finished on Sunday in Palma. They normally do a kind of a closed circuit at the end in Palma, and yeah, so another year done and another Challenge Mallorca done, which is really cool because it kind of starts the beginning of the year. I always look at it here in terms of races and events, so depending on where you are in the year. So that sort of starts the whole year, and then we look forward to what I do, the duathlon Powerman, normally in Camp Picafor around February. And so around that time you get a lot more athletes come here, it means work picks up and just it becomes busier, you know, overall. So that's really cool. Then we've got, after that, Powerman February. Oh, probably then the biggest event is the Mallorca 312, if you're crazy enough to go that far. It's also got the 167 and the 225. That's the last weekend of April. And then you've got the Mallorca 70.3, so half Ironman in May. Various other triathlons, duathlons, and every single weekend there's some form of running race or mountain trek race, all kinds of stuff. So last weekend there was the Sopopla 10 and the Sopopla half marathon, and I believe there was a cross country we bumped into in where was that? Was it Inca on Saturday as well? Or was it Sunday? No, that was Sunday. Sorry, I'm just getting confused. My memory is terrible. So Sunday there was a cross country running race in Sopopla. No, it wasn't. It was in Inca. Anyway, so what's really good about here is so many people are active, really, really good. And for those of you who've been to the grand old place of Sopopla, will probably notice it's got a big ring road. Now that's important. At night, if ever you get to go there at night, the ring road is lit up and you quite often see a lot of people running and walking and pushing the pushchairs and prams and stuff. And it's a really good, healthy, active environment to be in. And me and Dan does exist. He will appear one day. He has been here, he's been fixing a bike. Dan has started his running, so he wants to lose weight and get fit again and things like this. And I was saying that's one thing, we need to start a run club. I mean, I don't really want to run myself, but I'm always good at pushing other people into stuff and letting them kind of carry on. But it was kind of good because it is safe here, it does feel good. And it's obviously nice to exercise with people because you can encourage each other as well. So the main subject of today is about nutrition. Okay, so I'm going to answer a few questions that people have posted for me, and then we'll talk a little bit about nutrition. So first questions. What word I have actually cheated today. I've got a couple of notes down here, so please don't judge me. What have we got? So a few shout out first of all to Cody in Texas. Howdy there, Cody. And also today is World Cancer Day. So I always kind of think, before they used to say the stats were 1 in 3 people got cancer. Now, unfortunately, 1 in 2 people get cancer. So if you just hang around me, you're not likely to get cancer, which is really good. I'm like your cancer buddy, if you will. So yeah, on a serious note, it's shit. So fuck you, cancer. Hopefully they can find a cure one day, or at least get rid of it, because it's bloody horrible. Yeah, so World Cancer Day today. And it's also World Fig Roll Eating Day as well. So thank you very much to Brian. Other brands are around, but these ones are particularly nice. These ones are from Morrison's. We have tried various ones. At the moment, Aldi and Morrison's are coming up trumps. But if you want to bring any more in for me to try, or Dan to try, I'll let him have some too, then please do. I will be saying about different things I miss from England, which leads me to my other question. Someone asked me, how easy was it for me to leave the UK and move here and pursue my dreams? Well, probably easier than Brexit, marginally, kinda, yeah, probably. So what happened was, back in 2015, it was the day before my birthday, so it was the 31st of March, I know, I'm an April fool. I was born after 12 o'clock, but yeah, it's probably the most apt day of the year for me. So it was the 31st of March, and I was riding with some friends here, over on Pidge and I managed to crash on my bike. I don't know what happened, I can't remember. All I do remember is that Pidge had been resurfaced, and it was beautiful, it was stunning. And I was riding along on my own. The rest of the guys, the group, had gone ahead of me, or so I thought. And then one of our group, DSB, he was riding up from behind us, and he'd never ridden it before, so he'd stopped to take some photos, because obviously it's just stunning up there. And all of a sudden, we're riding along, next thing I know, I'm in a ditch on the right-hand side, which is, if you're going to crash, a beautiful place to crash, because you've got the Gorge Blau, the reservoirs up there, really nice, and probably a really good spot for the ambulance to pull into as well. You know, I was quite considerate. Yeah, so there's a little bay for the ambulance, and yeah, so I crashed there, and I had my new bike was only 5 days old, so it was a beautiful Madone 7 Series. Which just, yeah, I crashed it broke in 3 parts. I was devastated, and the people in hospital thought I broke my hip and my femur as well. Turns out it was just really bad bruising, and apparently it was the way I fell, meant I didn't get any severe serious injuries. Now I kind of relate it back to being taught jiu-jitsu as a little kid. And we were always taught to break what's called break fall. So our sensei, our teacher, would pick us up by our gi and throw us on the floor, and we'd have to like slap our hands down to disperse the sort of the energy. And apparently I kind of rolled, and all of the problems I had were on my left side, and where I rolled and tucked in. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. That is the reason I moved here, because by crashing, by being carried off in an ambulance, I got to see what the medical care was like here. So it was fantastic, absolutely brilliant. Although very hard for me to speak the Spanish, to speak the lingo, and also very difficult for me to spell my name, because E's are I's and E's are I's are E's, and it's hilarious the fact that my same is Quince, but here it's Quince, so it's number 15. So really, really good that I wear one of these, medical ID tag. So this one is by a brand called One Life ID. There's many brands out there. This one specifically though is really good, because you have your details on there with a little website, and when you turn it over, there is a number on the underside that you put into the website, and it has all of your medical information that you want to put on there. So obviously mine's got loads of stuff. It's also got my mum and my dad's phone number. It's kind of like my Paddington Bear tag, so in case I go missing. So yeah, so basically had the crash, had the accident, went to hospital, was treated really well. Yeah, no kind of qualms. I wasn't worried. Obviously I was worried about the crash, and I was really worried about my bike. But we met a really lovely young German couple who took my bike back to my hotel. And yeah, Trek were brilliant. They got it fixed, well, they got a new frame done, and all really, really quickly, so that was amazing. But the reason for that is it made me think, actually, I could live somewhere else, because I'm always worried with my kidney transplant, can I live abroad? When I was married, my ex-husband always wanted to live somewhere near the water, and I didn't really care. Well, who's doing it now, huh? Hey, I live like 20 metres from the sea, so for me it's perfect, and it's very tranquil, and it just kind of gives me more energy. I've never been very spiritual or anything like that, but for me, just to walk, I post on Twitter quite a lot about my 1 kilometre commute, but I commute along the seafront, and it is just absolutely amazing. I'll never ever tire of that view. So that's the reason I moved here. When I did move here, how easy was it? Well, how easy was it? Fairly easy. I came here for 3 days separately from moving in May 2015 to find an apartment. And they thought I was crazy to look for an apartment that I wanted in the October. They were like, why do you want it now? Why, that's forward planning. Why are you planning so much? So I found somewhere for me and the Pussy Boys, me and Cav and Wiggo, to move into. And when it came to the September, my dad and we took it in turns to drive 4 hours each, 3 or 4 hours each, depending on who needed to pee. me, Cav, Wiggo, or my dad. A sentence I never thought I'd say. Took it in turns and drove down through, got the Eurostar, and then down through France. France is big. How big is France? It's like that big. It took forever to go through France, and did 2 nights. What did we do? The first night in Montpellier, we slept in the car, and the cats had more space than we did. We were all squashed, and we had like loads of Sainsbury's Red Label tea bags, like all in the crevices, like cement. So kind of drove the soccer mum car down, and got the ferry. So Barcelona ferry to here, to Palma. It was 8 hours, and I think I was the only person on the ferry that didn't have a beard. Although, I reckon I could probably grow one. Question for you, why is it, right, when you wear trousers as a girl, that bit always sticks up? Looks like I've got a cock. I haven't. Honestly, I haven't. But it just feels really odd. Anyway. So got a ferry, and that was a night ferry, and I wasn't sure if I was any good on boats or not, because I've not been on a boat a big boat for a long time. So I asked my dad, can you remember if I was any good on boats? Did I get sea legs, seasick? And he said, I've got something for you. I was like, oh, okay, what's that then? And he handed me a can of Stella Artois. 2 of those, and I didn't even know I was on a boat. It was fine. So the 8-hour journey went quite quickly. And arrived here, and that was it. So yeah, not too difficult, and having the car, I could load it up with loads of stuff. So excuse me. So yeah, loaded the car up with, I think I bought three bikes, a mountain bike and 2 road bikes. And then later on, I used to take my bike case back to England empty, and then I bought my track bike and another bike with loads of cool goodies as well. So fig rolls, Sainsbury's tea bags, hair products, hair dye. This isn't my natural colour, remember. I don't even know what colour I am anymore. And Marmite, peanut butter, all the things you can get here, but it's a lot more expensive. So if ever you're coming over and you want to bring some stuff, I do like those things. So I came over here, and yeah, then I was here. Opened the shop, I think I said this already, a year later. So this month, February, it will be 3 years old at the end of this month. So really happy to be doing it, and hopefully continue to make it stronger every single year and become, more successful. So other than that, I think being in the EU has helped, because I've been able to become self-employed, or what they call autonomo here. And this is a question a lot of people ask, how do you do that? Well, best thing is get yourself a gestor, a gestoria. It's like an accountant. And you pay them each month, roughly anywhere between 45 and 80 euros a month. I guess it depends on how much paperwork they've got to do for you. And yeah, they'll help you out really. They'll do all of the things you need to. They'll contact the Hacienda, the tax office. They'll tell you what you can claim, what you can't claim. And then you pay autonomo. And autonomo payments, when I started, they were staggered. I think they started about 50 euros for a couple of months, and then 90 euros for a couple of months. And then they go over a period of 2 to 3 years, they go up to almost the top end, which is around 300 euros a month. So it's quite expensive. In England, you used to pay around 13 to 15 pounds a month for your national insurance. And that's a similar kind of thing. So although it's expensive, and in months when I don't earn anything at all, it becomes really expensive. It's worth it. You know, the services here are amazing. So if you need a doctor's appointment, you know, you go in or you ring up and they're apologising because you cannot get an appointment within 3 days. You know, they're like, oh, I'm really sorry, we've got an appointment in 3 days' time or 4 days' time. Now, I know there's less people here and there's more doctors, or the ratio of people to doctors is good. And I know, and I'm not dissing the UK at all, because my doctor back in the UK is the best. Shout out to Dr. Campbell. But I know she was telling me that she deals with 30 to 40 people a day. So obviously the ratio of people to doctors back in the UK is obviously way too many. So you're paying more here, but you are getting a bit more as well. Yeah, so that's what it was. So I moved here, started that, and yeah, the rest is history. I think biggest thing though is just having the balls, the bollocks to actually do it. I think I thought about it from the crash. So from the end of March, came here in May, and I was here in October. So not really a massive time frame, but yeah, I don't regret it. And you know, for me, I don't earn a huge amount of money, but my money is the outdoors. You know, I get to walk by the sea, I get to ride in the mountains or drive places. I've got my scooter, I've got my car. Yeah, many places stay open late, and you have your siesta in the daytime as well. So yeah, I would recommend, if you've got something you've always wanted to do it. You know, why else do you want to do it? I mean, why? What are you waiting for? Get it done. And if you try and you don't like it, then, well, you've tried, haven't you? You know, you can always go back. So for me, it was a case of I really wanted to try, and I really want to have somewhere where my family can come and my friends, and actually spend proper time with them. Because normally you go in the UK, I'd pop around their houses for a cup of tea or something, and you talk, but you're not really like having loads of time together. Whereas here, you know, they come over for a week and we do stuff, and you know, it's really cool. And I'm yeah, absolutely love it. So that's what that was. Right, what else? How much is open over winter? Well, winter is between November. As soon as November happens, everything tends to shut. Okay, most places have paper up in their windows. They cellophane all of the chrome things. They don't have to keep shining them and polishing them come spring. And they tend to open up again around mid-February to March time. So now we're seeing more places open, and also in the 4.5 years I've lived here, I see more places opening longer, which is really good. Like they're stretching the season a bit more. So yeah, that's really cool. But there's still, because there's a lot of local people, there's still lots open. So good coffee shops, a few good restaurants, supermarkets. I mean, like supermarkets open until 9 o'clock tonight. So after the vlog, again, I get to do my grocery shopping because the cats are out of food and I need milk. But yeah, so that was that. How hard was it? What else was there here? Oh, my hardest climb. What's my hardest climb? I hate climbing. Really don't like climbing at all. So hardest climb, probably Sacalobra, just because it's so steep in places and lots of switchbacks, lots of turns. And for me, the worst is when you can see, if ever you've done it, at the top you've got this kind of like little bridge where the 270 switchback turn is. When you're climbing back up, you can see it, and it's tiny, like it's really small. And when you see the little coaches coming, you think, oh my God, I'm not even near the top. So Sacalobra, one of the hardest, and I've done it so many times, so I'm not a big fan of it. And yeah, Pidgemayore, that goes on a bit, and it's a big loop. But yeah, for me, Sacalobra's the hardest. And someone else asked, what is my favourite monastery climb? Probably Yuk. Why not? But from the Col de Sabatea side, so Campanet Valley, Selva, Caimari, up the 7.9 kilometres to the top, pop and see Pedro for a piece of cake and Miguel for a cup of coffee, and then descend back down for Minia. To me, that's my favourite. Anyway, today's episode, get all those out of the way, so you can fast forward. I was going to talk a bit about nutrition, so I'm just going to have another quick drink. Now this is a good one because there's loads out at the moment about nutrition. Part of my sport and exercise science degree was about nutrition. Not that I'm saying I know everything or I know a lot at all, but I wanted to briefly mention nutrition on this episode purely because there's so much talking about it. And I think with social media, everyone has a voice, so everybody gets heard. There's quite a few documentaries, or would they be called documentaries? I guess they are. Yeah, a lot of documentaries out at the moment, particularly one called The Game Changers on Netflix. Now, the reason I got into vlogging or podcasting was a guy called Joe Rogan. Now, if any of you heard of Joe Rogan, he's an ex-martial artist, commentator, and he is a comedian as well. So he's really funny. He's got a YouTube channel, and he does podcasts on iTunes and other places. But he had recently a guy debunking the facts of Game Changers. Now, I quite like when people tell you the facts and then tell you, or not even tell you the facts, they tell you their opinion, and then someone else will tell you their opinion, and then you get to kind of weigh it up yourself, and decide what you think. And the Game Changers was one of these where I was gonna say I'm a carnivore, an omnivore. No, I eat meat. I don't particularly eat fish, just because I'm not a big fan. I don't eat fish fingers like Dan. He loves a fish finger. Fish finger sandwiches apparently are the one. Bit of ketchup. I don't know. But yeah, it's one of those where I don't care if someone is vegan, pescatarian, flexitarian, vegetarian, and all of those other things. Why have a label? Eat healthy, eat in moderation, and eat the right thing. And the right thing for you might not be the right thing for someone else. Okay, so everybody has their own dietary needs, likes and dislikes, and we're all different body shapes and body types. So you've got to find what suits you best. Okay. Also, look at good research and good science and talk about it. I've got a few friends here that know loads about nutrition, and so I'm always kind of listening and thinking, okay, does that sound good? Or getting recipes off people, or researching different people on Instagram who I know are good when it comes to cooking food and preparing for actual performance rather than just cooking because it looks nice. And in fact, I must get Jill on the show because she soaks her nuts and makes protein balls. I mean, that in itself just makes me crease up. So there's lots of different things you can make. But with nutrition, you've got to think about what you actually need for your event. Whether your event be being a just normal person, or being a cyclist, being a triathlete, being a hiker, etc., etc. So, don't get bogged down with being so obsessed with your weight. Your weight is dependent on your height, your size, your what's called somatotyping. There's lots of different variables. And it was funny because before Christmas I was in hospital, and the disapproving fat nurse looked down at the scales, and it was the day after Boxing Day, and I come from a broken home, so I had Christmas dinner at my dad's house, Christmas Day, then I had Christmas dinner at my mum's house on Boxing Day, and then all of the treats in between, and then they weighed me on the 27th, and it's like, seriously? How the fuck am I supposed to be super light when, I come from a family of feeders who want to just like pile in the sausage rolls and the mince pies and all that kind of stuff. So you've got to look beyond weight sometimes, and you've got to look at your healthy weight. People talk about race weight, they talk about fitting in certain clothes. I know like when you put certain trousers on that sometimes they feel better or they feel tighter. And so it's a combination of things. I'll try and get an actual nutritionist on the show to speak in more detail, but the best places to look, in my opinion, I like looking at the research for the ACMSM, the ACSM, even the American College of Sports Medicine. They're really good because they're science, they got fact. They tell you how much you should be eating per kilogram of certain things. So you've got your macronutrients, you've got carbohydrates, proteins and fats, and they normally recommend around about 55 or 50 to 55% of your total meal should be carbohydrates, which then goes on to the fats are actually more, so around 30% of fats, 25 to 30% of fats, and the rest make up in protein. So when you look at your protein intake, and protein is for resynthesization, muscle repair, growth, all that kind of stuff, you don't actually need as much as people think, and your gut and your ingestion can only absorb so much. So you've got to be careful and looking at things like supplements and protein powders and whatever else. You've got to look at what's good for you. So ACSM, really good, and other nutrition books. loads out there. Have a look, try and compare various ones. And remember, if you've got a book, it has to be peer reviewed before it can be published, if it's a science book. Okay, if it's a website, anyone can publish a website. I mean, I can, and yeah, it says it all, doesn't it? So that's a bit about nutrition. I want to touch on the fact that with nutrition comes hydration. Okay, this is really key, particularly with cyclists and particularly with me as a kidney transplant patient. We need to stay as hydrated as possible. Getting a little bit dehydrated now. Once your mouth is dry, you're already dehydrated. Okay, so you've got to think to yourself, are you drinking at least 8 glasses of water a day if you're sedentary? That's just a normal person who does no exercise. When you're exercising, you should be doing 500 millilitres of fluid every hour, 45 minutes every hour. So if you think, if you're out for a ride here, a 3-hour ride, you should be doing at least 4 to 5 bidons, 500 ml bidons of water, okay, or fluid. Obviously carb drinks, electrolyte drinks, or the powders within, you've got to be doing that. Or you've got to be stopping and refueling and filling back up. It's lots to think about. You need to be getting enough carbohydrates as well on board. With carbs, your body can only absorb or keep hold of 90 minutes worth of exercise worth of carbohydrate. So that's within our muscles. You have the muscle glycogen and then you have the liver glycogen. Muscles can be depleted, the glycogen and the carbohydrates. Liver shouldn't. If it is, you're in a bad way. So you've got to make sure you carry enough on-ride fuel as well. Looking at things like temperature and the rate at which you sweat. Everybody sweats differently. And also the temperature in terms of if it's too hot or too cold. When it's cold, I know myself, I find it harder to drink. But actually you need to drink just as much, because when you shiver, you're keeping yourself warmer, using more energy, which then requires oxygen, requires H2O, and requires the actual cellular level for you to be hydrated. Okay, so lots to go and think about. I don't want to go on about it too much, but that's that. And another thing that I really want to say about nutrition is, don't believe your GPS, your Garmin, Wahoo, Polar, whatever brand you use. Don't believe the calorie output or calorie total, I can't think of the word then, unless you're using power. Okay, so if it's just based on heart rate, it's only going to be a guesstimation. So I see it here all the time, it's hilarious. You'll have a rider sitting at a coffee shop looking at his or her Garmin and going, brilliant, done 4,000 calories today. Happy days. And then you see them like continue to eat like burger and fries and cake and ice cream and everything else. So unless you're training or riding on power, because power will actually look at kilocalories and kilojoules, you won't actually have a specific calorie output or calorie total. Okay, so take a pinch of salt and, you know, try to think, that's not actually what I've burnt, okay? But keep hydrated, keep fueled on your ride. If you don't keep fueled, don't keep hydrated, you can bonk. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever bonked mid-ride. It's horrible. You just have nothing. You have nothing in your legs. Your mind wanders elsewhere. It's nasty. And particularly if you're out on a long ride and you're still not home or you've got a long way to go, then it's not good. Yeah, so keep an eye on that. And you'll see people as well looking at their Garmin going, hey, how good am I? You know, so I tend, at the moment, I'm not training on power because I'm just riding just more for my head than anything else. So it's only when I start picking up the training more for whatever event I've got coming up, will I go to power. My coach will then put into my training peaks what efforts and what sessions I have to do. So yeah, always look at that. Make sure you're hydrated, make sure you've got enough food. And I always take extra food for people on guiding because they don't think of it as much, and so it's always good to share as well. So that's really good. Last thing on nutrition is the golden rule: eat little and often. Okay, if you only eat 1 or 2 or 3 meals a day, your body will hold on to the calories. Okay, and that's more likely then. You're more likely to store it as fat because your body doesn't know when it's going to get more calories another time. So little and often, people, you know, I think that's a good rule in life anyway. Yeah, that's it. So episode 4, hope you had a good evening, and send any questions to me that you want answering, whether it's myself, whether it's Dan, or if there's anything you want the information on anything in Mallorca coming up, whether it's be cycling or other events or hiking routes, I don't know, let me know. And good to see you, and I'll be putting another episode out within the next 2 to 3 days. And I can then update you on Cavgate because he's got to go to the vet, but don't tell him. Shh. Okay, for now, adios.